welcome to this webinar arranged by Elisa Videra and Pexip. Today we will be talking about how the past changes in the working environment can be supported with video collaboration. We have two fantastic speakers with us today, Mikael Storbjørk, Country Manager for Finland and the Baltics at Pexip, and then we have Mika Pirinen, Sales Director for Finland at ElisaVidera. My name is Lucas and I will be your host today. So before I give the floor to our speakers, I would like to go through a couple of practicalities. This webinar will be recorded in order to allow people to watch it later on. If you have colleagues or friends that you think would be interested in this topic, feel free to share the recording with them as well. We will share the link to the recording in an email after this webinar. So through the commenting field, you're also able to ask questions from our keynote speakers. We will reserve a few minutes in the end of this webinar for answering your questions, so make sure you ask them while you have the chance. You can find the chat from the panel on your left-hand side, as the picture here shows. So now, without further ado, I will give the floor to our speakers for today. Mikael and Mika, so nice to have you both here. I am personally very excited to hear what you're going to share here today. Mikael, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lucas. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for giving me the chance to speak as well. Very nice to see that we have so many joining this webinar. I know it's a lot of webinars lately, but it's great to have people listening into this special webinar as well. So just to start off with the content of today, we're going to go through sort of what's happened over the last 6 months, what's the new normal, also really dig into unified video experience anywhere, the topic of today, and how ElisaVidera and Pexip together can actually help make video meetings easier and more productive for our customers. And of course, we also want to round up by talking about one of our mutual customers, Alma Media, as a customer case study at the end. Now, when I was asked to actually talk about the topic, I think everybody's seen that the world has changed over the last 6 months, if we put it that way. We've been talking about the year that video will break through for quite some time already, and now it's actually happened for real this year. With the whole COVID situation, the pandemic, that's of course been the big driver, moving everybody from what used to be the phone, where we couldn't see each other and couldn't get the actual human interaction that you would get from video, to moving into a world where everybody uses video on a daily basis and really embraces what we've done within the industry for a few years already. So I'm very happy to see that we're actually in a situation where video is sort of the way of the future, and it's the way or the future is actually right now. A good proof to that is actually something that I saw in a magazine a couple of weeks back, and I decided to actually put it in here as well. I'm sure many of you have seen Dilbert, and here he's sitting in front of it, or standing in front of his boss, who's asking him to go to Seattle for a quick meeting, and his response is quite funny, I think, where he says that, am I actually going to meet with a Stone Age tribe that's never used video before? That just goes to show what sort of the mentality is today. Nobody can travel in the current situation and the current climate, but as we go forward into the next year, traveling will be coming back, but I'm pretty sure that nobody will actually take a plane to Seattle to sit down with somebody for an hour and then fly back from there again. But we can see that video is here to really make your life more productive, your daily work more productive as well. So that's the quick introduction of why we're here today. My name is Mikael Storbjørk. As Lucas mentioned, I'm sitting in Helsinki as the country manager for Pexip, and with me also is my good friend and colleague Mika from Elisa.
Thank you, Mikael, and hello to everybody. My name is Mika Pirinen, and as Mikael said, that I've been working here in ElisaVidera Finland as a sales director. I've been working in industry and collaboration almost 12 years, so quite good experience and seeing a lot during the past 10 years. So couple of words about ElisaVidera. So for them who don't know us, that we are a global video conference service provider, plus 20-year experience, and we are supporting our customers with the 100 different countries, and we have approximately plus 110 employees and serving our customers and collaboration customers on a daily basis. And today we are sharing our thoughts on how you will get the most out of the video, and a couple of use cases, as Mikael said, and some practicalities from the other customers as well. So, but please go ahead, Mikael.
Thanks, Mika. So just for people that don't know Pexip from before, just to explain who we are. Pexip might not be that well known because we've actually haven't really been marketing the actual brand of Pexip. But we are a video software company that really runs in a lot of other service providers' environments. So, for example, ElisaVidera is a good example of a partner that is using Pexip's technology in the background. So if you have been in ElisaVidera's video meetings, you've been using our solutions even without knowing it before. Pexip was founded about 10 years ago. We're going to have our 10-year anniversary next year. A couple of years ago, we actually merged two Norwegian companies called Videxio and Pexip into what Pexip is today, which is about 300 people in 18 countries. And we're a very sort of engineering-focused company that wants to be innovative and cutting edge in this field. And to show for that, we actually can say that we have more than half of our staff is engineers or developers that are there to really make our products as good as they can be and make sure that we have solutions that customers love. One of the things that has happened over the last 6 months that I want to highlight is that we've actually gone public. So that picture that you can see there on the screen is from our virtual IPO that we did in the spring in May. Now, that's just a good example of how video today can be used in different use cases. I'm sure you know that when you go public, you have a lot of analyst meetings and you need to do a roadshow to actually go out and talk to your investors about what the company does. We did that whole roadshow as a virtual roadshow. So we did all of our meetings over video and talked to analysts. And we also did the actual ringing of the bell on the Oslo Stock Exchange over video, in the middle of a global crisis, a global pandemic. So for that, I've actually got a nice memorabilia here that we were all part of the ringing of the bell on the stock exchange in Oslo. And I think that's a great way of showing how video can actually be used today in new use cases. So with that, then I'll leave it over to Mika to talk a bit more about how video is used today in today's world and what you need to remember to actually have a good video experience in a video meeting. Sorry, I'm running a bit ahead here. I actually just wanted to reflect on the last 6 months that we've been working in this special sort of situation with the pandemic. Of course, I started about 6 months ago, in February, end of February, and the world looked a lot different when I started. But all of a sudden in March, the pandemic hit, and that really meant that for us, as for anybody else in the world, people closed their offices, and everybody went home and started using video on a daily basis for their meetings. For us, it wasn't a big transition because we've been doing that all along. We've been using video on a daily basis, but we were fortunate enough to actually be there to help our customers over this special situation and the new situation. And this slide actually just shows how the world changed for us as a company. We had a 7 times increase on our platform in terms of the minutes that our customer were using the solution. And we're not the only one who were affected this way in the industry. The same goes for all of our competitors, all of our partners. So here's just a similar snapshot of how Microsoft Teams usage has gone up in the spring. And the latest I've heard actually in those figures is that the daily active users of Teams is up at 130 million today. So it's just been going up and up for quite some time. Now, that sort of steers me into the different use cases that we have, and I'll let Mika talk about how video is used in the world today.
Thank you, Mikael. So, of course, most of you might have a very traditional use cases in the past, and it's a good example of the IPO, what Pexip did, and a couple of stories about our customers and how they have been using during the last 6 months and during this autumn. Customer has been said that, of course, they have been moved to use the customer service, management team members meetings and board meetings as well. And I think it's always the end of the fiscal year, end of the year, there might be some serious meetings as well. And customer has been said that even though it's allowed to travel, but the employees doesn't want to travel because if you travel to Germany or Europe, you might be in a lockdown or quarantine next 2 weeks or something like that. So of course, it's very common to use video conferencing in healthcare and teleservices, and of course the online banking has been breaking out as well. So and I think depending of the industry, there is always place for the video conferencing, and it just needs to be sit down and think about a little bit what might be use cases in our organization. Of course, if you want to succeed, so I have a couple of examples what you should consider or taking into account that what you have to remember to make sure that the meetings and the meeting with the customers and other counterparts is successful. Of course, the camera is the one of the things, and then make sure that it's open if you have a video conference meeting or collaboration meeting. During the COVID period, I know that the most of the employees has been working in remotely and home, and sometimes it might be challenging to get the peaceful working environment, but it might be something that you should consider that make sure that there is a peaceful environment if it's possible, because it's also disturbing the other ones, not only you, the other parts who is taking part of the meeting. Dress up, it might be also one thing. I've been heard a lot of stories from the customers that I don't need to buy the suits anymore, but I buy a lot of shirts. So it's also one thing that it's good to remember. Of course, people are moving back to the offices. My recommendation always is that, this is my statement, but I said that my colleagues as well, that the open office is not meant for video conferencing. You are disturbing the other ones, other colleagues. I think you should reserve the room or phone booth or something like that to have a peaceful environment and get most of it. So that's the one thing. Also, of course, different organizations have a different rules and restrictions, but in our organization, it's also one instruction that do not have the video meetings and collaboration meeting in open coffee shops or coffee restaurants or airports or you name it, because always somebody's listening, always. That is my reminder, what I can say to you. So, and I think the last one, and well, not least, the most important is the network and bandwidth. To have the new and good experience, make sure that you have the enough bandwidth or network capacity, and also the correct tools, headsets or USB phones or etc. And also you can help these challenges with the closing application and to save the bandwidth. But we are going to go through the couple of things and what is our offering and how we can serve you as a customer, and what kind of tools we are using and what we are making our customer life better. Please, Mika.
Yes, so as Mika said, there's a lot of benefits that we as ElisaVidera and Pexip can bring to you as a customer. Here's a good summary of some of those things. So interoperability, ease of use, innovative solutions, of course, security, global reach, and end-to-end support is basically what we're offering. But if we want to drill down into these specifics a bit more, interoperability is probably the biggest unique selling point of Pexip when it comes to the video world. And going back to what Mika just said about different use cases and how you can use video, one of the major things, of course, today is that people join video meetings on the fly. They're joining from their mobiles, they're joining from their own laptops, for example, and you never know how people will be getting into a video meeting. So it's very important that you actually have a flexible solution that will allow people to get into that meeting without any plugin, with any software installations, and therefore we actually support all of the different browsers from a WebRTC perspective. So when you get a Pexip link and you click the button, you actually get into the meeting in any situation. Another key sort of element that we've seen among most of our customers is that, and as I showed on that previous slide, Microsoft Teams is growing exponentially. But there's a lot of customers also using Skype for Business, either on-prem or in the cloud version online. And these Microsoft solutions, of course, are great for internal use, but as soon as you get an external use case, you might have people that can't join those sessions. So you need to be able to give them the option of joining a WebRTC, or now that people are getting back into the office and starting to work again from the office, people want to use room systems that they've invested in, your Cisco or Polycom or life-size room systems that are sitting there in the offices waiting for people to get back. Now, when they do that, there's sort of people are used to using Teams as the meeting tool, but those room systems don't necessarily talk with that Teams environment. So you're in a predicament where you have people that want to actually work remotely, but you can't use that high-end equipment that you've invested in for the office. So that's another use case where Pexip comes in, and we actually offer a Teams gateway, meaning that you can dial in from these traditional room systems directly into a Teams session, with the added benefit that we actually support both the Teams environment as well as the Skype for Business environment. And if you look at the Microsoft partners that do this Teams gateway, we're the only one to actually be able to support both Teams and Skype for Business for the same meeting. So that's a unique benefit from us. Now, when it comes to sort of the second bullet point we had on that summary, ease of use, I've just chosen a few ways of how we can make life easier for you as a video conferencing user. Of course, when using video, one of the key elements is making it easy to join. And we've tried to attack that from many different angles. Of course, the first being that when you send out an invite for a meeting, that invite should go from whatever you use today. So whether it's Outlook or Google Calendar, you just send out that meeting invite as you have done before. But what we can do as well is we can add one-click join from room systems. So if you do want to sit in the office and use that fancy Cisco or Poly device, by adding that resource into your Outlook calendar invite, you're going to automatically have a join button on the touch panel of that specific device when you walk into the room. So again, this makes it much easier for you. You don't have to use a remote control to dial into a video meeting. You don't have to remember any meeting numbers. You have that nice join button, green button just to hit, and then all of a sudden you're in the call, just like that. Now, in some scenarios, of course, you're joining meetings from your mobile. So you can see that mobile app that I'm showing on the screen, the Pexip app. One of the cool things with that Pexip app, I think, is that we actually support different video platforms, meaning that we can scan your calendar and see any type of video meeting that you have scheduled. So regardless if you're doing a Pexip meeting or if you're doing a Teams or a Skype for Business meeting or a Google Meet meeting, then you have all of them listed in one place, and you just have to hit one button to get into a meeting from your mobile, specifically if you're joining from remotely. And finally, in COVID times, we've actually gone ahead one step further than one-click join, meaning that we can do zero-touch join. Now, this is something where we combine using a QR code to a video endpoint or video conferencing endpoint, where we associate a specific QR code with that room. So when you walk into a room with your Pexip app, you can scan that QR code, and it's going to automatically connect your VMR, your personal virtual meeting room, to that room system, and without even touching a touch panel, you're in that meeting. These are some of the things that we think will make life easier when using video going forward. The third point that we had on our summary was innovative solutions. And I've, again, chosen a few examples of how Pexip does this to make life easier. One of them being that when you're in a call, we've all done it. I've done it myself. I'd be the first to admit that when you're in a call, sometimes things doesn't connect as they should, but that shouldn't be something that I get told by the other participants. The app in itself should be doing the sort of smart thinking for me and inform me that my audio device isn't detecting my sound, so I can fix that before people start joining the meeting and getting into the call. Another thing that we're launching quite soon in new releases is that we're going to have pop-up windows that's going to make life easier for you if you're running late, for example. So if you're getting into a meeting, you don't have to find a different application to let people know that you're running late. We've got that I'm delayed button there as well as a easy way of informing everybody else in the call that you're running a few minutes late. One of the coolest things that Pexip has done over the last few months and just have launched is what we call adaptive composition. this is really where we start using and utilizing artificial intelligence or AI to try and make that meeting experience as positive and as productive as possible. So what we do here is our technology actually counts faces in the meeting and optimizes how those faces will be seen on the screen when you're doing a meeting. So to explain what this means, I've just showing you here a typical layout when you're in a home meeting. And I'm sure you can all see the issues with this type of a layout, which is called gallery view normally, which means that everybody has the same space on the screen. The obvious problems, you got black screens, people not showing their video. You got some people sitting in meeting rooms, and if there's many people around the table, if that video picture is just like a post stamp, you won't be able to see any facial expressions and stuff like that, which really takes the productivity out of that meeting. So if we look at this typical meeting and we actually put on adaptive composition, that same meeting will look like this. So hopefully that sort of shows you the difference between what we can do in the backend in our own infrastructure by adapting that artificial intelligence and making sure that the larger rooms that have many people in them, they use a bigger screen sort of bigger space on the screen, whereas the people that are only one person, they're centralized nicely on the bottom there. And of course, the ones that aren't showing their video, they're still on the call. They can still ask questions, and if they do, their name pops up on the screen so you can see who's talking. But this just goes to show that there's a lot that we can do in the background in our infrastructure to make a meeting easier and more productive. Now, we had the fourth point that's a benefit for us is security. And this is, of course, something that you cannot oversee when you're talking about video meetings. And of course, Pexip and ElisaVidera, we offer encryption and all of that is sort of standard in the industry today. But I would say that if we look at security, the only sort of real differentiator is how is that video conferencing platform that you're using deployed. So we do offer our solution as a service, so you can use Pexip, in the cloud out of the box, where we have 15 POPs around the world, and we host that meeting for you. But for those special customers in the government sector, public sector, healthcare, in the bank world, for example, where they have more security needs, what we've seen is the best solution is really to make sure that that platform stays and the data stays in the customer's network. And we're one of the few in the marketplace who actually offer a dedicated self-hosted software option where customers can go and take our technology, install it in their own network on their own premises, or, for example, in their cloud of choice. So whether it's Google, Amazon, or Microsoft doesn't really matter to us. But the important thing is that the customer has full control of their own data, and that own platform is dedicated only to them. And of course, from a security standpoint, we have all of the certifications that you can imagine sort of in the video world. Just to point out, of course, GDPR, but also ISO 27001. We're one of two providers, Pexip and ElisaVidera is the second one who actually has this certification from a security standpoint in the video world. Elisa also brings, of course, a lot of added benefit to the table. So Mika, why don't you talk a bit more about your support?
Yeah, shortly about, of course, all of these offerings, what we have been discussed today, and Mika has been shared together with me. We are serving the end-to-end support for our customers and end users globally with our 24/7 in-house service desk, starting from the first level, which is solving over 80% of the support requests from our customer. And of course, this is one of the highlights, but we have been working quite much and working with this and focusing this. And so next I'm going to share one of our customer success case or customer cases, Alma Media, which is basically a multi-channel media organization, plus 1,500 employees, and in 10 different European countries. Alma have basically similar to what most of our customers have. So, or they're utilizing Teams and a lot of Teams environment, and we basically integrated the existing Cisco-based video conference rooms with the Teams, and the target was to unify the meeting experience internally and externally. They get their internal employees and external counterparts. And of course, one of the requirements was also that it needs to be outsourced and then fully from the cloud. And basically, we offer them a Pexip Teams gateway service with the calendar integration and then one-touch join functionality. So and also renew most of the endpoints, which is a little bit surprised, but with the Cisco hardware during the Teams time. So that was the customer decision what they want to do it. Today, basically, what customers doing, all the Alma Media meetings are including Teams invitations. So basically, with the Interop, and they use it and get the seamless experience and same experience with each and every counterpart what they're using. Teams application, and then Teams application is used from the home offices, and basically they're using the video conference devices from the office, and also for the office and all hands events as well. I think what they are doing in the future they are going most likely add some huddle rooms, so basically small rooms to supporting the employees, which is coming back into the offices hopefully next year. And people are flowing there. And also, of course, customer has been said that they have been used a lot video, and then one of the greetings to today audience was that and our customers that don't be afraid to adapt the video and start using the video in a daily business and take most of the benefits out of it. So I think this is what we want to share about Alma today, and we are more than happy to share other success stories as well in upcoming meetings with you guys. But thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mika and Mikael, for those presentations. We have had a few questions come in. Unfortunately, we're running a bit out of time, but I think we have time to answer one question shortly. And this was kind of also the general theme in between the questions, so I've tried to summarize it as well as possible. So please, gentlemen, keep it short. Our audience is asking, what do I need to consider when purchasing a new video collaboration system? What are your top tips for this? And are there steps that are usually being overlooked? So maybe, Mikael, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I think we spoke about, what you need to think about when buying or investing in a new video conferencing solution. And one of the good things that came out of this was that the infrastructure behind what you're using is really key. So instead of doing what you did before, maybe a few years back, is starting to look at what endpoints do you want to use. That comes as a second step. The infrastructure is really key, and you have to have a flexible solution that really supports you today with what you have in place today in terms of applications, but also supports you in the future with whatever different endpoints you're using at that stage. So I think starting with infrastructure is really what you need to consider.
Thanks, Mika. I think you empty the table, and I totally agree. And this has been the most important topic what we have been discussed with our customer as well, that where we should go, what we should do. And I'm always highlighting that choose the interoperable platform wisely, and then you don't have any kind of limitations that are you running Teams or SIP-based, what our customers are using and so on. So I think the Pexip platform is giving big advantage to the organizations who is looking for the collaboration tools and platforms. So that's about it, how I can also state it.
All right. Thank you for answering the question, and thank you for also keeping it short and punchy. So last but not least, remember to sign up for our next webinar in this series. Next week on Wednesday, we're going to talk about how you can ensure a successful and secure yet versatile and scalable video conferencing service. So make sure you do not miss that one. It's going to be really good. You can find the link also in the chat for the registration form. but we will share all necessary information in an email after this webinar to you. So including the link to the recording of this webinar, information about the next webinar with the link to the registration form, and a summary of this webinar with the top tips from our keynote speakers, Mikael and Mika, on how you can create a unified video experience. So, gentlemen, thank you for this great presentation. A big thank you to our audience for tuning in. Have a great day, keep safe, and meet video. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.